Welcome, everybody. We got a fun one today. We got the Bitcoin Cash boys that are going to be joining us. So we're going to get them on stage. But as always, we're going to get this party started. We're going to start with the introduction here, okay? All right, welcome one and all. So guys, THORChain is a decentralized exchange that enables you to swap Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash with thousands of other cryptocurrencies. All layer one native tokens. There are no bridges or wrap tokens involved. It's all the real deal, folks, and all within the self-custody wallet that you like. There's no KYC on THORChain. KYC means kill your customer. We don't do that. THORChain is permissionless. THORChain's token is called Rune. That is spelled R-U-N-E, Romeo Uniform November Echo. You do not need to buy or hold Rune to place a swap on THORChain. Very, very important. So, for example, if you have some Bitcoin and you're like, well, I think these Bitcoin Cash boys are onto something. When you make a swap to Bitcoin Cash, how it works is all the gas fees for the intermediary, like the Rune and the outbound for the BCH, that's all taken from the starting asset, which would be Bitcoin. So you don't need to hold Rune to swap on THORChain. Isn't that great? But those fees incurred are what is used to buy Rune, and then that Rune is the yield that goes to the liquidity pools and nodes. There are no block rewards on THORChain. 100% of the yield is real. THORChain has another token called TCY, Tango Charlie Yankee. This token is kind of like a preferred stock. 10% of the protocol's revenue goes to these token holders. If you deposited crypto into savers or took out a loan on THORChain, make sure to claim your TCY token so you can start collecting this yield. And anybody can buy the TCY token as well. This is going to change soon. I'm going to kick it to Kenton after this. But to swap on THORChain, go to thorchain.org, click on swap, and you'll see all the wallets and websites that use THORChain, and you can choose the interface you want to use. We're going to be having our own interface soon, and Kenton will give that up when he gets on stage. Rajira is building a decentralized Binance on THORChain smart contract layer. It's being rolled out as we speak. Very, very exciting, guys. And speaking of Binance, if you hold Rune on a centralized exchange, you need to withdraw it into self-custody because these tokens can be used to short sell Rune and drive the price down on us, right? And once in self-custody, you should look into bonding your Rune. Excuse me. And how you should do that is go to runebond.com. It's very easy, you guys. All you have to do is decide to click a node, request a whitelist, and then you can bond your Rune and start earning Rune on your Rune. Hell of a deal, guys. Super exciting. There's a THORChain community Discord and Telegram you can join to learn all about THORChain as well and make some awesome friends. To find the links, go to @THORCommunity account on Twitter. Guys, please repost the space. Let's get some people in here. This is going to be a fun one. Okay, guys, I'm really excited. And I really love the fact that I mentioned about the pulling your Rune tokens off the centralized exchange. The Bitcoin Cash boys love doing that. I'm going to give a quick introduction and I'm going to kick it to Kenton. We have some housekeeping to do, and then we're going to get right into it, guys. So my name is Denny. I have another account called Patriot Sounds. I also use the Rune Bond account. Content creator, educator for THORChain, going on 5 years now, I think, quite a long time. Love it, having a great time. THORChain's kicking butt. I'm going to go ahead, give it to you, Kenton. Want to do a mic check? Make sure you're there, buddy.
Mic check. Can you hear me?
Dude, you sound amazing. Go for it.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. Kenton Ralph Toes. I started the U-Share Rune Fund. It's a fund investing in Rune and running nodes on THORChain. So I'm a node operator and bond provider on THORChain. And yeah, the housekeeping. So I'll let you guys know version 1 of the front end, is the beta version is live. I posted the link in Discord in the front end channel. If you guys are motivated, go click on it, play with it, point out bugs. Your help would be appreciated. And just keep in mind, this is just step 1. We have a long way to go. So be gentle in the judgments. But yeah, if some things aren't working as they should, let us know. And marketing update. So we set up the 2-3 multi-sig with Scorch and Monica from 9 Realms, and I posted the address there in Discord in the marketing channel, and we'll get that put on the ADR as well, and then so that address will show up in the Constance link, just like the Dev Fund address does. And that should go out in update 3.12. I've been busy this week, guys. I'm kind of wiped. I've just been like going nonstop. I'm like meeting to meeting, different marketing companies and people trying to find somebody to hire. I've had some good conversations. They're going well. So hopefully within the next week or two, we settle on somebody. And then, once we get that person, kind of like a general contractor can like really, guide us, help us what we need to do. We'll come up with a more formalized plan. But kind of what I've been getting from everybody, like it's everyone's kind of saying the same thing, is that what we need to focus on first is SEO, and which ties into AI optimization, AEO or GEO, and forgive me, I forget what they stand for. But this is about just like spreading propaganda, positive content, education online, so that when people are searching, we show up, right? And so we need to get that sorted out first. That's our priority, and then we can move to pay per click. And really don't want to do pay per click until the front end is like has a bit more functionality anyway, like DEX segregation, a few more wallets, that sort of stuff. So the timing could work out well. It's going to take several weeks to get the SEO stuff sorted out, and then then we can focus more on the pay per click. And by that time, the website has a bit more done, right? But the goal is eventually to have all our money going towards SEO versus pay per click, because SEO should have higher conversion and is evergreen. It lasts, right? Whereas pay per click is just as soon as you stop doing it, it stops working, right? And also too, with SEO, like people have intent. They have a problem and they're looking for a solution now, and we need to pop up as their solution so that they will act now. Whereas with pay per click, we're hoping we find somebody with that problem, and we're hoping they're ready to act in that moment, right? And it's there's a lot more friction, a lot more to come over, right? So the goal is to get SEO and AIO, get that dialed in, so that it's working for us, nonstop type thing. Yeah. So once we have some people hired, I'll give another update. But yeah, if I'm quiet or you don't hear from me, I'm working on this, guys. I'm busy, doing stuff to try and push this forward. So yeah. So I guess my quiet would be kind of a good thing. It means I'm busy behind the scenes. Yeah. So that's the update on those two things.
Yeah, and guys, when it comes to SEO, search engine optimization, right? Like I know we got the Reddit thing going. I know people were struggling with posting in there. Try again, please. We actually had a filter on there, and I think it was just a little too aggressive. I know Reddit's going to be kind of a pain in the butt, but guys, even if it requires us to chew on diamonds, this is something we got to do. So let's get it done. Please start, make a Reddit account. Get on the THORChain Reddit, go to the Ruggiero 1 and 2, and let's just play the game. That's what we got to do, right? I know many people don't like Reddit. I'm not a fan of it myself, but we're going to do what we're going to do. And if we all do it together, we're going to do really well. So thank you for the update, Kenton. And I can vouch, the guy's working very, very hard, guys. So, but there's no reason we can't help him, right? We're all ADR 21. Go ahead.
Thanks, Paige. If I can add another thing, volunteers, content creators. You guys love THORChain, posting about it. Great, keep doing it, please. And pick whichever platform you like and just go with it. And brag about it. Try and push it out. And I'm trying to think of ways that we can reward you for your efforts, type thing. If so, hopefully it's more than just social credit, or just getting attention. Hopefully there's other ways we can benefit you guys. But yeah, please start doing it. It's the only way Bitcoin got huge was thousands of people being passionate and spreading the message. And that's what we need too. And if we get 1,000 THORChads all pushing THORChad, this will work, right? I don't see how it can't. So yeah, please be motivated, do it. Work is recognized and is needed, and thank you.
100%. 5 to 10 minutes a day, guys. Sometimes it's all, if that's all you got, that's all you need. It's real easy. It's just something, click, go make a post, make content. Or if you really want to go in and go all out, we would love that too. We're all on the same team. We're doing it together. Was there anything else, Kenton, or should we start going to the introductions?
I think that's good. Yeah, we can go introduce the guys.
Awesome. Thank you, man. You're really killing it, bro. Keep it up. And everyone's really happy to see ADR 21 just start to roll off. It's great. Okay, guys, let's get to it. We're going to introduce our BCH family here. Very cool. We had a space with them a few weeks ago, and it was so much fun. We had such a great time. So I'm going to go ahead and start the Bitcoin Cash podcast. Go ahead and give us an introduction.
Hey, everyone. So I'm Jeremy. I got into Bitcoin in 2013. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm still in it. BCH is the real Bitcoin. But I host the Bitcoin Cash podcast where I talk about everything that's going on in crypto, obviously, but a bit of a focus on BCH. So we do all the latest deep dives and tech and releases there. And then also talk a little bit about, whatever's trending. I've talked to the THORChain, Familiar Cow, and other projects around the space. So I promote BCH like that. I'm also one of the developers of Selene Wallet, which is an open source BCH only wallet. And I'm the organizer, or one of the organizers, of a hackathon called BCH Blaze, which we will be launching this year. It's happening November 15th. So hoping to convince any aspiring builders to come and join us on that and win some BCH. That's it for me.
Awesome, dude. Heck yeah. We'll go ahead and go to Emergent Reasons. Go ahead. Give us an introduction.
Hey, can you hear me?
You're great. Go for it.
All right. Yeah, I'm John, Emergent Reasons. I have been in Bitcoin Cash since 2014, similar to Jeremy. I run a company called General Protocols, and I think we're the earliest pioneers of doing DeFi on native Bitcoin Cash smart contracts back in 2019. So we've been doing that for a while and doing quite well. I'm also one of the founders of one of the Bitcoin Cash nodes called BCHN, and that's a very important thing, obviously, but something that I'm not an active developer on. But a big project needs different talents, so I work on other parts of that. And then probably the last thing worth mentioning is I helped to found a thing called Flipstarter, which is a crowdfunding platform that also uses native BCH capabilities to do crowdfunding in a trustless way. And that has raised tens of millions of equivalent US dollars directly in Bitcoin Cash to fund all kinds of projects, infrastructure, products, companies, and so forth. Yeah, so I've been around for a little while and always working to increase the amount of non-custodial, trustless tools and products available to everyone.
Sounds great, man. Thank you for that. I'm going to go to Dr. Flex, which is just an absolutely banger name. I love Dr. Flex. Is sick. Go ahead and give us an introduction.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Dr. Flex, a community member here. I've been actively involved in the BCH community for the past 6 years. Building, collaborating, spreading peer-to-peer electronic cash over here in Africa. So, yeah, it's nice meeting you guys, and then let's get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the introduction. Go to Havlor. Go ahead. Give us an introduction, buddy.
I'm Halvor. I'm a rocket engineer and co-founder of Rift Labs. We have made Cauldron, the world's fastest DEX, and also MUSD, decentralized open source over collateralized stablecoin. I co-founded Rift Labs with Dagger Volberg. He was the original maintainer of the Big Blocker node. First guy to implement BIP 100. True legend. Shout out to him. Also, quick shout out to our friend Renegade. So we do Rift Labs, and we love casting spells. I'm very happy to be back on with you guys.
Dude, great to have you too. Yeah, I really had so much fun talking to you. That it was really great, especially on the Regiran side, and we had the Moca guys involved. It was a great conversation we have. We got some extra guests up here. Joel, thank you for making it, man. Awesome. You want to give us a brief introduction of yourself?
Hey everyone, thanks for having me and thanks for inviting me, by the way. My name is Joel and I've been what I would like to call a pre-casher. I've been kind of in the big block, digital cash space since before Bitcoin Cash came around, but I'm a friend of the community. I consider it sort of like Canadians, like brothers from another mother. And yeah, I do earn BCH for my podcast, so I'm definitely part of that. So I run business development and marketing for Dash currently and have been living all in crypto and been in the THORChain space since the ChaosNet days, since the very beginning, just about, and active in the Maya protocol, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just very excited about the cross-chain space in general. And I've been harping on the BCH community forever to get much more involved with THORChain because it's like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. This is everything you guys need to be involved in.
Awesome banger. And yeah, shout out to our My Protocol bros. We love them. They're a Mexican family over there. They're absolute chads. Aftermath, you want to give us a quick introduction and we're going to get started here. I'm going to give you a few seconds. All right, no worries. You might having some mic issues. That happens. You guys know how X Spaces are. They rug a lot. Okay, guys. So you guys gave an introduction. Maybe give us a quick little history on BCH. I know there's a lot there that might be hard, but I'll go ahead and maybe the Bitcoin Cash podcast might be your cup of tea. I think you did this last time. Do you want to just kind of give like what BCH is all about and why it forked, and just give us a quick rundown on the history? That might be a good starting spot.
Yes. Okay. So the first thing you need to understand is that when Satoshi released the white paper for Bitcoin in 2008, he put it the title Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. So to the extent that you might have been told Bitcoin is digital gold or it's an asset that you can invest in, it's a crypto asset, anything like that, that's all just complete propaganda, right? So what happened was there was this digital cash system and it was going great. Satoshi founded it. It took off. It was just exploding. Basically, most of the world hated it, but the people who loved Bitcoin just loved it and they flocked onto it. And part of the reason was because it was very easy to transact, in 2009, 2012, even 2014, 2015, like PayPal wasn't nearly as advanced as it is now. There was no Cash App. There was no Venmo. There was none of this, like even online banking sucked basically everywhere in the world. So Bitcoin was a, chance to change that and have a actual commercial system. Of course, famously with Silk Road, it took off as well for people using it to transact online. So at a certain point, despite its immense initial success, the Bitcoin community began to get internally political. So here's where the story diverges a little bit. In my mind, the project was taken over and hijacked by, the powers that be, nefarious interests in banking that wanted to stop it growing. But of course, if you ask the BTC people, they will give you a completely different story that, the B caches were some malevolent force that was trying to ruin their project or something like that. So everybody should definitely listen to both sides and make up their own mind. But the BCH side is essentially well documented in a book called Hijacking Bitcoin, which explains that at the time, there was a lot of community discussion which got censored. I was a part of that. I was one of, if not the most popular poster on our Bitcoin Reddit, which at the time was where all the discussion happened. And I got banned as well as literally like thousands of other posters for having these heretical views that Bitcoin should scale with an increased block size, which was, the plan that Satoshi had and that I and many others presumed that we were going to be on. But as a result of, the block size war, long and drawn out argument over this issue, it ended up being that the only way for a block size increase to actually be performed would be a chain split, which is not, it was a hard fork, but it's not the same as a hard fork. People confuse that. They think that a fork means you get two coins, which is not true. It can if it's a chain split, but the BTC, BCH, like ETH, they upgrade, all the time, not BTC now, but coins can upgrade with forks without creating a chain split. But this one did create a chain split. And so BCH has been essentially free to pursue the big block scaling approach to reaching global reserve currency since 2017. Initially, it didn't go very well in a sense. Like, it was better than nothing. It's better to have BCH than not, because otherwise we'd be here without a viable path at all. But there was, of course, the sabotage as well by Craig Wright pretending to be Satoshi. And he was then, used to heavily smear this big blocker approach. But he was eventually, thankfully, rejected from the community in 2019 to their chain BSV, which is, or maybe actually late 2018, sorry. He got rejected and then created his own chain. And then in 2020, there was another chain split over the dev implementation by Amaury Sachet, who was a prominent developer at the time. But since 2021, which was when I founded the podcast, because I saw that things had turned the corner, the BCH community has been very well aligned and very focused, and has successfully done upgrades every single year, so that BCH now is in the world where it has to compete with BTC and with every other crypto project that is much larger and did not have so much hijacking and sabotage and civil war throughout its history. So we've got to catch up and make a compelling case that BCH can be the global reserve currency, allowing everybody to access on-chain cheap transactions. And the primary strategy for that at the moment is to make BCH the leading chain for UTXO DeFi. So of course, everyone knows DeFi is huge, and you can't really compete with being, a digital rock like BTC if you don't have the same network effect. So the BCH strategy is to kind of combine the UTXO model, which Satoshi pioneered and which is actually very, very powerful, but has been underexplored because the BTC community refused to develop on it, or at least they can't figure out a way to. And other chains like Litecoin or Dogecoin sort of take their lead from BTC, whereas the BCH community actually thinks independently, has produced all its own research, all its own dev work, all its own protocol upgrades. And we're going to combine that, which is very fast and very scalable, with the innovations in cryptocurrency happening on Ethereum chains, things like DeFi, things like native stable coins, things like smart contracts of all varieties. So I'd say, in a nutshell, that's kind of where I feel like BCH is at today.
Yeah, and guys, this is going to be an open conversation, and I know Joel has a lot of history with Bitcoin and all that stuff. So please, anyone, feel free to pipe in. But the one thing that I thought was really important when we talked about last was, we were talking about transaction speed, and you guys want to be, it's Bitcoin Cash, right? You guys want to be used as cash. You want to be used as a settlement layer. And one big topic was Moca, right? And the capabilities now that we have a decentralized, permissionless, no KYC pool of Bitcoin Cash, now it can be a settlement layer, right? And that's the thing I'm so excited, you guys, to speak to the audience here is, we really just need to invest in talking with these wonderful chains that we have here. Like, there is so much capability now that we have. And we guys want swap volume? Well, we have all the moving pieces to do that. So this is such an exciting time. But I'm going to go ahead and open up to other speakers if anyone wants to tag on or add anything like to that. It's a free-flowing conversation, guys. Go ahead. I know it's always awkward when you open and no one knows that they want to speak, but go ahead, Kenton.
I have a little. It's just. Hope you guys just find this funny. I'm not trying to be a jerk. Emergent, you said you've been in Bitcoin Cash since 2014, and then, but did Bitcoin Cash start in 2017, or did it start in 2008? I'm curious how you rationalize that.
Bitcoin Cash absolutely started in 2008, from my perspective. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did you guys?
Yeah. On that note, by the way, just for history, it's not a uniquely kind of Bitcoin thing. I know I'm pretty close with the Hive community, and Hive is the surviving fork of Steam, and so all the accounts and everything else were there from the Steam days. And after Justin Sun took over Steam, there was a civil war, etc., and Hive survived. They kind of date back the history. There's kind of like the 2 days, right, as far as like the genesis of the blockchain that now is Hive, which is the Steam one, and then the actual split thing. So yeah, there's sometimes a little bit of confusion with forks, but they're, when you actually have blockchain history that goes all the way back, you could kind of use either one, I think.
Whoever's speaking, your mic is really bad. I don't know if you can fix that or not.
Sorry.
Yeah, you were audible.
Yeah,
Joel,
and of
but just
course
barely.
it's
Go ahead, Emergent.
Of course, it's half tongue in cheek, but it's also half serious, right? Because for those of us who have been in Bitcoin, or for many people, I won't say for only those who've been in it for a long time, but it's a very serious thing, right? It's not just an investment. It's not just a speculative asset. It's a something that I got into to change the world. And of course, and part of the incentive of that is, if you join early, you also have a financial incentive. And so I signed up for both of those, the financial incentive and changing the world. So it's a very serious thing to me. And so it is half tongue in cheek, but it's also half not tongue in cheek, because I do think that Bitcoin Cash is the one that has a chance to actually still change the world.
Oh, I totally agree with you, man. Like, I'm sure you guys have you guys seen the meme of like Bitcoin in 2013, Bitcoin today, and it's like,
Yes, exactly.
and so
Yeah,
okay, you know what I'm talking about. But some people listening who don't, it's like when Bitcoin started, it was like, end central banks, privacy, freedom, all cypherpunk stuff. Now it's like, BlackRock, pump my bags, treasury companies, please government, will you allow me to use my Bitcoin? It's like, what happened? Where did this movement get off the rails?
Well, there's actually a book that covers that extremely well, which is what Jeremy mentioned, the hijacking BTC, I think is the name. But yeah, it's actually covers that topic very well.
So I'm really enjoy talking to you guys. I always love like the counter view of stuff. So we're inundated with Bitcoin propaganda, and there's a plethora of Bitcoin maxis all spewing their propaganda, and they talk about everything else is a shitcoin and it's only Bitcoin and blah blah blah, right? We all know what they say. I'm curious what your guys' view is of Bitcoin. Like, do you think it's a shitcoin? Do you think, or you're like, well, you know what, we can coexist. It's a free market, and like, no hard blood. We're gonna do our thing, and keep going. Or it's like, do you have just as much animosity for the Bitcoin crew as they would for you or anyone else?
No, I think this is getting to the topic of maximalism, which Jeremy and Joel and I talk about in various from various angles. But if you go back far enough, the concept of maximalism was a really constructive and positive thing, right? The whole concept was, hey, we've got this thing that has network effect, because back in the day there were no other coins, right? It was just Bitcoin. And then eventually some others came along. But this idea of, as things came along, it was, it's fine to have competition. That's fantastic and necessary. You have to have competition. If you don't, then you're absolutely going to stagnate and end up corrupt and broken. So competition is amazing. And then at the same time, recognizing that the equal distribution of things is not a natural thing, that when you have competition, you end up with some type of Pareto distribution or some type of power distribution where 80% or 90% or whatever of usage happens in one place, because that's the nature of network effects. And so the idea of maximalism was just, hey, we're going to do everything we can to absorb all the lessons we can from everywhere else, make the most competitive, most powerful chain that is useful as money and actually gets adopted as world money by an absolutely massive number of people, right? Billions of people. And that has there's nothing in that that requires you to say everything else is a shitcoin, everything else is bad, everything else is useless, right? No, competition is great. Competition keeps you honest. And I think that's pretty fair statement of where Bitcoin Cash is, right? Like we recognize that we lost the network effect when the hijacking happened from our perspective, right? And all of that network effect has to be regained, and we absolutely intend to regain it and end up, like THORChain intends to be used by huge number of people. Same for Bitcoin Cash. We intend to be used for DeFi, contracts, finance, savings, payments by as many people as possible.
So how do you think it's going? Like, I mean, it's been 8 years now. Have you regained some network effects? Like, has it been growing? Is Bitcoin Cash being used in transactions, like day-to-day type stuff? Can you give us some insight there? Like, how are you guys succeeding?
Yeah, I mean, I do want to hear from Harvard on this actually as well, but from my point of view, what you kind of need to see it as is like BCH has made some industry leading choices in some ways, but has suffered immensely in others. Like, when with the BTC guys, the way I see them now is kind of a mix of almost like pity in a way. I don't really have a lot of animosity to them, because it's like when you meet somebody politically or economically, who maybe is confused, like maybe let's say somebody who's a big like socialist or something like that, and they don't really understand the concept of trade, or the concept of zero sum versus positive sum, these kind of things. And so they have a lot of very strongly held views, but from your point of view, you think, well, fundamentally this doesn't really add up, and how can I introduce these concepts to you in a way that you'll listen, or that will demonstrate to you without you getting upset and frustrated and shutting off your mind, right? That's sort of what the BCH community has been up against ever since its inception, in a way, right? Ever since the chain split, and even a little earlier, right? So it's been a great education for the community. And several years ago, the BCH community was very talked down to. It's obviously very slandered and propagandized, but because also the price went down, it was just an easy thing for people to feel superior about and attack. So the BCH community has had to, through that process, learn to sort of process its trauma, really, of being on the wrong side of the split, and learn some harsh lessons about the way the world works, how power really is distributed, and then from there build back up a sort of positive winning attitude. So one thing that we have got as a result of all that is a fantastic ability to be open and collaborate with other spaces. We've also got a number of upgrades. We have a lot of the DeFi tooling and all this stuff either created already or in the process, that the BTC guys can only just dream about. But of course, at the same time, we have huge deficits in terms of brand size and recognition, in terms of liquidity, in terms of on-chain traffic, all of those things. We're kind of in the hole. So our focus is obviously on extending our strengths and then trying to convert that into those other metrics that we need to. But we do have one strong factor in our favor, which is that the BTC approach is starting to run into its own problems. It wasn't maybe as quick as we expected, but it's definitely starting to happen. Like you can see right now, they will already tell you they're going through their little node war or whatever. So they're already coming to civil war and fighting amongst themselves, whereas BCH hasn't had any of that in 5 years. And that's because at the end of the day, you can avoid reality, but not the consequences of avoiding reality. They're realizing that they've been captured, they've been rebranded into this digital asset. Huge corporations have bought up huge chunks of the supply. The philosophy has all gone, and the market is just moving around them. And so that's all things that I expect to have a massive decelerating effect on BTC, which creates the opportunity for BCH to catch up, combined with all the work we're doing. So that's kind of how I see it.
Well, you mentioned a
There's
node
also
war
an
in
angle
Bitcoin.
here.
Sorry. So ask if you can explain the node war in Bitcoin you're talking about.
Before that, I just wanted to quickly mention there's also this angle that, are we in a deficit? Yeah, absolutely, as Jeremy said. But there's also, if you zoom out and you look at the big picture, of course, from our perspective, due to the hijacking and so forth and these things, the adoption was just massively delayed. And if you zoom out and look at it, really adoption of crypto is absolutely minuscule in the global context of finance, payments, and so forth. And so, yeah, in a deficit, but it's also in a deficit versus, zero versus zero kind of thing. We actually absolutely have to grow that, and we're going for the brass ring. We have to have millions, billions of people using it, or else it's not meaningful, and it'll absolutely be captured. I don't mean that in like a conspiracy way, but just in that it won't have any power, it won't have any influence if crypto isn't used by enough people. So yeah, in a deficit, but still the target is way out there beyond anyone in crypto at the moment.
You mean deficit relative to Bitcoin, whereas you're saying
Yes,
that the
yes. So
focus,
yeah,
the
honestly,
measuring stick is the deficit relative to TradFi. That's the real
yeah,
measuring stick.
to fiat, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, fundamentally to fiat, yes. And yeah, that's the right measuring stick. And so honestly, we don't really think. I don't mean this in like a meme type way, but we don't really think about BTC very much anymore. We're just doing our thing, and yeah, like I said, going for the brass ring, trying to make that real metric go up.
Well, Bitcoin's made it clear that they're the store of value, and you guys want to be the transaction, the peer-to-peer cash, right? So,
well, that's
right?
a story in itself, right? The concept of which one comes first, and when you have a means of exchange, it ends up also being a store of value. So Bitcoin always intended to be all the things that money is. So it's just a matter of getting there.
Well, okay, let's go into that. Which does come first? What do you think drives which?
I don't really subscribe to any particular religion on it. But having a religion on it is one thing and it is not another thing is just an obvious red flag for me. So there's people working on real world adoption in Bitcoin Cash. There's places like Ormoc City, Tacloban, and some other places in the Philippines. There's also Townsville in Australia, where you can literally go and just live on Bitcoin Cash. So there's people who are exploring that kind of retail type adoption, right? Like you can go to restaurants, you can go to your cell phone shop and buy shit. So there's people who focus on that. There's people like General Protocols. We focus on finance, DeFi, right? So you can go and there's whatever $15 million of TVL in these contracts called any hedge contracts. So there's people who are doing that for finance. There's Cauldron, who focuses on just trading, right? So you can get on there and do trading on chain, on Bitcoin Cash. There's people who, of course, use it as a store of value. I myself use it as a store of value. I earn my salary. Oh, I don't have a salary. I get paid for contracting, but I earn my salary in Bitcoin Cash. So literally all of my income is Bitcoin Cash, and I keep it, vast majority of it, in Bitcoin Cash. So for me, it is literally a store of value. So I think it's all of those things, and it's not a smart thing to hyper focus on any one. And that's one of the nice things about having a decentralized ecosystem like Bitcoin Cash. It's actually a decentralized ecosystem where everybody's trying all different kinds of things to varying degrees of success. And some of the things that you think wouldn't succeed and that's too hard, they end up succeeding and proving you wrong. And yeah, I'd love seeing it, just all the experimentation on all the different aspects, store value, means of exchange, and etc.
Yeah, I definitely have some thoughts around, what ultimately wins, but I want to kick it to Havlor if he wants to jump in and say something real quick. I know he's been trying to speak, so go ahead, Havlor, if you wanted to add something.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so for me, it's very good to have the Bitcoin white paper to kind of work out from. I find that kind of as a holy text. On Bitcoin maximalism, there's a journalist in Norway who sometimes call me the Norway's biggest maxi hater, but I don't hate Bitcoin. I love Bitcoin. I love BTC. Actually, it's like a child you love, and you love them no matter what. Even right now, they're a kind of a rowdy, arrogant teenager, misled, misguided. But we'll always love it. It's just misguided. And for the maxis, it's just sad. Actually, it's just the sad thing is the kind of that they celebrate ignorance and arrogance and kind of profit over everything, and this is this is very counter to what the Bitcoin white paper was written to do. Actually, it's kind of the opposite of that. So I'm so glad that we have this community in Bitcoin Cash where we can just create stuff and build stuff and kind of honor the legacy of Satoshi. And DeFi was never intended in that sense to be in Bitcoin, but we saw the value of DeFi early on, and we saw that people liked it in Ethereum. It became big, and this became kind of this new area inside of crypto, and right now we are building the same thing, even working faster and better on using Satoshi's own language. So I'm super happy about this. I'm really happy about the time we are in now. Obviously, there's a lot of misguided people who found Bitcoin recently, who found crypto recently, and are kind of lured into this very kind of arrogant, ignorant kind of like they really don't care about giving a platform to people who are have less of means, so that they maybe don't have a bank account and can use the power of crypto to use digital money without the bank. These maxi people, they are mostly located in Europe, in America, and they celebrate ignorance. But that's okay. That's okay. Over the years, they will learn to love truly decentralized things, and kind of the paper Bitcoin will get rugged from them, and then they will learn the hard way. And for us, we see every day new people using MUSD and transacting and having their money non-custodial. I said this on the BCH podcast, and it still yields almost every day. We get people from new places on Earth that sends us messages, tells us about how they're saving, giving money to their family, buying, transacting just between people, using MUSD, and just in a second. And I'm so happy. I'm actually really happy about the state of Bitcoin Cash right now. So yeah, Godspeed.
You know what? Shame on me, because I should have asked about, because we talked about MUSD on the last time we spoke about potentially getting on THORChain so that it can be used in the various primitives, particularly on the Rugiran app layer side. So if there's anyone from the Rugiran side who wants to come up and give an update on that, please, you are more than welcome. I'll try to get you guys an answer on that. But you know, one of the things that I've been thinking about up here is like, whenever I think about anything, any investment, any idea, any system, it doesn't matter. I'm always thinking about the first principles. First principles are king. If the first principles are not there, in my experience, something fails 100% of the time. There is a caveat to that, though, and particularly when it comes in the world of investing. Okay. ExxonMobil comes to mind, but I'm not saying Bitcoin's ExxonMobil necessarily, but I'm just going to run with it. You know, ExxonMobil had a valuation, but the first principles weren't there. But it had a valuation because the market didn't know, right? There was a gap of knowledge in the first principles. And then once you figure it out, you know, it goes to zero, right? I'm not saying that's going to happen to Bitcoin, but just an example how that works. This is where I think we're going. We are now approaching a truly transitional time, because now the technologies that we have all been building, they now have utility, right? They have utility. This is where the rubber meets the road, and we're actually going to start using blockchain in everyday things. And this is where I think the on-ramping of the air quotes normie is going to come and evolve. And this is where I want to bring Moca into the conversation, because right, Bitcoin Cash wants to buy and it wants to be a settlement layer. And in the last space we talked, you know, I brought Moca. This is something that you guys have been desperately thinking about how to do. And conceptually, you guys had this in mind, right, of what's going on. Because if you guys want to think, if you want to use Bitcoin to buy everyday goods and services, we had Mark from Denver up in the last one. You know, he tried it out. He just wanted to sell honey. And it was during the time where the gas fees.
That was me. That was me.
Oh, I'm sorry, Havlor. I apologize. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
Right. And Havlor, he wanted to sell honey, and he just to demonstrate the point, and it just would not work. It was something like $50 for the gas transaction. So,
no, it was almost $400 for a transaction fee.
The honey was $50.
Yeah, correct.
And the yes, yeah. Right. I messed that all up. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring in Moca. Go ahead, Moca. Go ahead and take your mic, because you know they're very interested in maybe doing something like a campaign with BCH to get the ball rolling on that. So go ahead and check your mic, Moca.
Hey guys, I'm just checking if the mic is okay.
All good, man. Go for it.
Perfect. Thanks for having us. Yeah. I mean, you know, one thing. So since we spoke in that space with the Bitcoin Cash gang, we did a lot more research on everything. You know, the Bitcoin Cash TV a couple of Nurain from Nigeria. Like they have been giving us a lot of intel on how to actually perform a good go-to-market with Moca pushing Bitcoin Cash, because you know the book hijacking Bitcoin, all of this, it points to the direction where there's big players right now pushing the crypto payments infra as the future, and we actually saw this more than a year ago. And when we saw what Bitcoin Cash is actually trying to achieve and how it preserves the ethos of the original Bitcoin, we said this has to be one of our verticals. So we're going to be pushing Bitcoin Cash in Africa and in Southeast Asia. Why? Because that's where most of the, well, you could call it adoption, like the big framing adoption, and not just the fringe or the investment part of things happen. So we're very, very happy to create synergy here. And also, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, so I'm just going to go ahead. I'd rather just ask for forgiveness, but we're going to be in the Bitcoin Cash TV podcast around the week of our launch, probably a week later. So yeah, we're just really looking forward to see how we can push the THORChain infrastructure deserves to be used not only for, swaps and liquidity pools and all of that are great, but we need to push this to the real world utility. So that's what we're trying to do, to create synergy between the THORChain infra and the Bitcoin Cash daily use that has that potential.
Right. Right. And this is what I'm talking about. So all the speakers up here, what are the things that we have been talking about? Well, we're behind in brand recognition. We're behind in blockchain utility. We're behind in this. We're behind in that. But this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where things are actually going to be used. And then this is where the first principles that either give you a big fat wet kiss or they bite you in the ass, right? This is where, can you actually be a settlement layer? Are you fast enough? Does it work? Blah, 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 blah. And this is where I'm so excited, guys, because if anyone's out there listening, if you hold Bitcoin Cash, if you swap on THORChain, again, this is real layer one activity. This is the real deal. All the swaps exist on your native blockchain. So this is increased activity. So this is just to say, do not swap your BCH on a centralized exchange. Please use THORChain or other DeFi rails so you guys can get the credit, because exchanging IOUs does not give the credit and does not look like it's adoption, right? So as Moca, which is going to go live very soon, I don't want to get ahead of their announcement, but right, this is where this stuff is going to start being used. We are in the very, very beginning of this, right? And all the swaps that happen when it comes to like Bitcoin Cash, say Moca, like that's just revenue for THORChain. This is where we need to go, guys. So exciting. Go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, and the most important thing when it comes to crypto payment, in my opinion, is that you not only want people to start paying with Bitcoin Cash and then just let the protocol behind do an off ramp and the business receives fiat. Because yes, it kind of signals some sort of adoption, but it's not the whole adoption that we're looking to create. We want to allow people to pay with Bitcoin Cash and the business to see the value of receiving Bitcoin Cash and actually keeping those tokens, thus creating some sort of circular economies where then those businesses can pay their employees with Bitcoin Cash, and those employees can go buy on the next door store their groceries with Bitcoin Cash, and thus you're creating this loop where there's no need to go to fiat. And don't get me wrong, the solutions that we have right now are incredible, because you're allowing crypto native people to pay with their crypto without having to go through loops, and then the business receives fiat because that's what they're used to. But I do think, and this is what we're building for the past year and a half, is that the future is going to be buying crypto, settling crypto, not just buying crypto and settling fiat. And that's exactly why we're so excited to work alongside with the BCH crew, because they have that same mentality. They don't want to just allow their community to pay with their token. They want to create this long-term value and hand rotation of the tokens without them pushing the market down or up, whatever, you know, the extended value of just changing hands.
Eric, can I add to that? There's a business in Cayman, a cask. It's a whiskey bar, and one of the guys in one of the meetups orange pilled him and got him to convince him to start accepting Bitcoin. And so the owner is doing it, and he's just using his way to DCA. So he's not even selling into cash. He's just accumulating Bitcoin. So that could be another pitch for you guys when you go to these businesses. Like, hey, this is just a way for you to accumulate crypto and build up a position. So turn them into hodlers.
Yeah, exactly. And this is so strong because we can just say, okay, so let's just aim for 5% of your sales to be in crypto. So you're not aiming for 100% right now. Just look at that 5%. Just cross it on your forget the word, on your accounting books as something that you're not going to touch. So instead of saving in fiat, you save in crypto. So yeah, that's a great approach. Thanks, Kenton. I did saw your post about probably like 2-3 weeks ago. That was amazing. You know, just doing like the 2014 kind of evangelization where you just go somewhere and tell them, hey, you should start doing this, and they actually do it.
Bitcoin Cash guys, what do you call it?
Moca
We
guys.
said orange. What do you call if you Bitcoin Cash pill somebody? What do you call that? Green pill?
I don't know. You just unplug them, just wake them up, basically.
Unplug
we don't really have like a specific term for it, but I mean, I think the whole matrix analogy and everything is just so amazing because it's so funny that the BTC, because firstly, those matrix memes were around before, you know, the split. So the BCH community also has some affinity to that, of course, but it's very ironic because
or some of us were the ones that created those memes. Some
Yes.
of those, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, they think, oh, we've found the truth in BTC and we've escaped this fiat system, but really it's just another layer of the matrix now, you know, and then slowly unplugging them to understand, wait, it was hijacked, it was taken over, they just created like a Potemkin village, you know, the whole BTC thing. It's like, welcome to crypto, you know, etc. Be free, cypherpunk, etc. But then it's all captured, and you can actually see that if you just look on social media as they year after year they slowly wake up, like one by one. They start to think, wait a second, what's happening here? Like, why is Michael Saylor now saying we don't need to upset the banks? I thought we were here to upset the banks. And they have those kind of moments. So we are always trying to sort of nudge them in the right direction, but just it's exactly the same as the matrix. Like, you cannot force anybody to wake up. They have to already be ready for it. And then when they are ready for it, or when they are struggling and frustrated, that's when you have to be there to give them some fresh information. And they're probably going to have a pretty hard time, you know, swallowing the pill the first time, right? Like, there's nothing like that saying, what is it? It's easier to convince a man that it's easier to fool a man than convince him he has been fooled, you know? People think, oh, BTC, I've escaped. I know that fiat is nonsense. And then you say to them, no, BTC has been totally corrupted. That is such a hard sell. But once somebody finally like clicks and wakes up and they get it, they look into BCH, they see all the stuff that's going on, they read up on the history, they rethink all the nonsense that they were told and how many people lied to them, you know, then they never go back. Basically, it's sort of a one-way journey in that sense. So I'm optimistic, but it takes time. Yeah.
I wanted to mention something about this this idea you guys were talking about. It was Mocha, and I'm sorry, I don't know who it was who was saying it, but the idea that businesses can just think of it as receiving crypto and not necessarily having this requirement, you know, like I need to switch to fiat when I receive crypto. BCH actually has many years of experience with this setup. And like I said, several cities where there's literally, you know, like a city where you can live on BCH. And that is exactly what happens, is that the businesses who understand and are interested in it, they understand and they are interested in it. And they don't have a huge need to convert this small percentage currently, right? Currently what's a small percentage of their sales to fiat. That's not a huge issue for them. When they understand and they're interested, they are interested. And so they want to receive the crypto and they're actually interested in that. So that has been a repeated result of experimentation is that the merchants, and we're talking about retail here mostly, right? Retail merchants who receive, in our case, BCH payments, they just keep the BCH. That's what they want to use. And when you're in a location that there is some level of network effect, they can also spend their BCH with other people in their city who use it. So yeah, they're with those type of merchants, they don't have an urgent desire to just switch over to fiat. However, I did have a question. One of the issues that absolutely does repel, mom and pop, small, medium type businesses from accepting crypto is tax issues. So I'm interested to hear from Moca if you are providing some kind of support for tax related issues or something like that. What is it? How do you guys see that angle of it?
Yeah, so I actually have a question for you about the Bitcoin Cash series, but I'll ask when I finish this. But the whole point of crypto is not, well, in our opinion, is that it's not to bypass.
Hey, Eric,
system,
your microphone's a little bad. Maybe try to clean it up a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, how's it now?
Better. Go ahead.
Better. Okay, yeah. So, crypto, in like when you talk about crypto, you're not trying to sell it like crypto payments. You're not trying to sell it as a way to bypass the system, just as an alternative to settle sales without having to go to fiat if you don't want to. But that doesn't mean that we want to enable people to, not pay their taxes, etc. So, I mean, people will be able to do whatever they want, just like they can do right now with fiat. They can just choose to try to bypass the system or not. So if people are bad players, they will do so with any kind of payment system, right? So what we're doing is we're providing the tools through an accounting system that we're going to have within the app, where they can just track every sale they have done, how much was revenue, how much was margin, etc. And then it's up to them to report whatever they want to report to whoever they want to report. We will provide the tools. It's like any other system that allows you to process payments. Although we are not a processor, we're just an enabler, because we don't really touch any of the funds. We just enable the person to pay through THORChain rails and the business to receive through THORChain rails, and we give them the tools to report whatever they want. And
That's great.
Go ahead.
Oh, no. Sorry. I was just saying that's great.
Yeah. So, but regarding the Bitcoin Cash series, I was wondering, what was your or what is the sales pitch, or what's the value when people ask, okay, yeah, but this is kind of volatile. So how am I going to use this if it might be, I don't know, 5% more expensive in a couple of days? So I know that crypto, that's the nature of crypto, especially being so early, but there's gotta be some argument that you guys can use, or that you guys are using right now.
You just use MUSD. You just use our decentralized stablecoin.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, use the MUSD. That's one answer, but the direct answer to your question of what they have found, and I'm not one of the people doing this retail local adoption, so I'm speaking for them, so I may not be correct here, but everything I've learned is that it's exactly what I said, which is the ones who get interested in receiving payments, they have some level of interest in these things. And this is one of those things where you have to kind of pull back your cynicism a little bit and say, while people as groups are often do pretty dumb things, people can also be very intelligent. And individuals running small businesses are often, relatively intelligent people. And they get it. They understand that there's a point to, wait a minute, this fiat thing is not great. Going to my bank and having them ask me, what do you intend to use this money for? Is not actually a reasonable thing to happen. And, you cannot withdraw more than this amount of money is not a reasonable thing to happen. And so they get it. They understand that there's benefits to this system where it's fully in their control. And so, yeah, I think the answer is that people are smarter than you think, especially small business owners. And they actually have an interest in this alternative system. And, immediately converting to fiat doesn't meet that interest at all.
I just want to jump in on this, which is like Emergent. I'm not directly involved with this, but I've talked to guys in all the different places that are doing this. And one thing they found highly effective, which you might want to try, is they get people objecting about volatility or saying, they're worried and they're stressed about it. And the objection there is mostly about their stress and their anxiety, right? So the solution that often is very effective is that somebody says, oh, okay, well, crypto is really volatile. It could be worth, 10% less next month. And what they do, for instance, with Paytaka is they say, okay, yes, we understand that. And we know that, of course, crypto can be very volatile. So we will offer to buy your BCH at the price that you received it up to, I think they do maybe 30 days after you've received it. So if you receive it at $500 and then later it drops to $450, but you've received, like $10 that is now $8 or whatever, then we will buy it off you at that $10 rate 30 days later. So they give them a completely free slather option to have their downside protected for that short window. And what they've found is that then that reassures people, because then they think, well, now I can't lose. If it goes down, I'll cash it out. And if it goes up, well, then I'm already winning. But what happens, it's the same as how companies offer, if a 30-day warranty or something like that. Once you've got somebody over that hump, then they receive the crypto. Then even if the crypto goes down, they're not instantly rushing to cash it out because they know they have that option. They feel safe with it. And they think, you know what, let me just let this play out a little bit. I've seen it goes up. I've seen it goes down, right? It's at that moment of talking to them initially when they're most stressed and there's, 1,000 other things they're worried about with integrating crypto. But then when they have the time to sit down and think about it in hindsight, they realize, oh, this is the first crypto payment I've ever received. It's only $5 or $10. It's not the biggest deal. And so that's maybe something you can look into. Then what they do in Townsville is similar to that, where they also offer sort of an underwriting service. So what they do is they find local people who are Bitcoin cashers who are interested in buying BCH. They want to swap the other way. They want to swap fiat into BCH, and they connect those people up to the merchants. So then the merchant sees, okay, firstly, there is demand for this BCH. Even just putting a friendly face on it can make a very big difference. And then secondly, they also have that backstop, oh, okay, if I want to swap this back into fiat, I have someone right here who's excited and who will make the trade the other way. And if the price is going down, that's when the other person wants to buy, actually. So it works out quite nicely, but it also gives them, just building reassurance and confidence is the biggest part of it, not actually the details of the volatility itself. It's the fear and the stress and the uncertainty that comes with it that you need to address more than the actual fact that crypto goes up and down. Everyone logically understands that.
Yeah, I confirm all of that. That's the same thing that I've learned from observing and talking to those guys. Exactly.
We're at the top of the hour, guys. I'll let you go in a second, Ken. Sorry. I'm at the top of the hour, guys. Please share the space. This is a banger conversation. Okay. I see a lot of new friendly faces in the audience. Please follow all the speakers, and on the THORChain side, please follow these great people up here. They're absolutely wonderful. I'm going to kick it to Dr. Kenton, although I want to say, Dr. Flex, I think you had your hand raised at one point. I'll try and get to you soon, but go ahead, Kenton.
No, let him go first.
Okay, Dr. Flex, did you have something you want to add? Sometimes it glitches. I'm sorry, so I'm unsure if you were trying to speak. Okay, you might have some mic issues there. Go ahead, Kenton.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of chat about, kind of expand on this, people accepting crypto as payments. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with Gresham's law, like good money drives out bad. So when silver coins in the US, like quarters and dimes, when they, back in the 60s, when they stopped being 90% silver and moved over to whatever it was, zinc or tin or whatever, people started hoarding the real silver coins, right? They didn't want to spend them. And you know, in my mind, this is what's happening with crypto, is that, yeah, like we can spend it, the technology is there, but people don't want to spend it. They want to hoard it, because like a store of value, right? It's going up in value, right? They'd rather spend their dollars and get rid of them. And you know, it's something. I'll get this criticism from normies all the time, right? Like, well, I don't believe in crypto because like you can't buy anything with it, and it's like, well, but people don't necessarily want to spend it. They want to hoard it, and so, you know, I keep thinking about, you know, what flips the script? You know, what's going to change to have people start actually wanting to spend their crypto? And what I conclude with is it's going to come down to people are going to have to spend it because merchants are going to demand crypto and nothing else. And you know, so people have no choice but to spend their crypto. And so I keep thinking, okay, well, what's going to force merchants to only demand crypto and not fiat? And so I keep, you know, going down this rabbit hole and stuff. And so I want to present you guys with a theory, see what you guys think. But if you think about the US dollar, you know, back in the 70s when we went off the gold standard, the US went to Saudi Arabia and convinced them to accept only dollars for oil. And that created a de facto demand for dollars and kind of forced the rest of the world onto, you know, use dollars to buy oil, right? And so the dollar's been on like a petrol, we've had a petrodollar for 50 years. You know, so, Saddam Hussein, you know, in Iraq was invaded because he wanted to sell oil outside the dollar, right? Gaddafi was talking about the same thing and, you know, creating a North African currency to sell oil outside the dollar, and, you know, he was killed. So, you know, there's a huge, like, you know, Orwellian Big Brother push to keep oil price in dollars, basically, and to maintain the demand for dollars. And so I'm thinking, okay, we need something big like that, like some, you know, Saudi Arabia of oil to demand payment in only crypto and nothing else. And you know, what's it going to be? And I keep wondering if it's the unbanked. That, you know, the whole point of crypto, or half the point, a part of it was to bring 6 billion people into our financial system, right? We can all be on the same system. And I keep thinking, like, well, if fiat currencies are going to be inflating, you know, throughout the world, you know, people want to store value. And, you know, I wonder if it's going to be crypto, and the world's unbanked, this huge labor market is only going to demand payment for their labor in crypto. And we're all going to have crypto to pay for this labor. And then that's what's going to, you know, basically force us onto a crypto standard. Curious what you guys think about that. Do you have other ideas? Like, where is this demand to get paid in crypto? Where's it going to come from? What's going to get it going?
Yeah, so one of the things that I think is really interesting is this argument is a common one that people make, and from my perspective, it's a little bit of a myth, because actually, when your price of your crypto, you know, you sort of quote unquote make money when the value goes up, people actually tend to spend more, not spend less. Even with the most hardcore laser eye type of guys, you can see them. They make posts every so often like, oh, I've made like 5x gains on my crypto. Like, I sold a little bit of it to, you know, buy a new house or buy a new car or buy a present for my wife. After all, the value of money is to spend it and live with it, right? If you can't take it with you, right? If you die with it, there was no point to hoarding up all your BTC. And that's been vindicated, you know, by the early days of Bitcoin. You know, the price was just exploding at levels that even now, like, the BTC price gains don't match that, and people spent Bitcoin more the more money they made. So the argument often goes like this: if you need to debunk someone from this mentality of, oh, people will just want to hoard it and they never want to spend it, you say, okay, so your plan is to hoard your Bitcoin because it's Gresham's law and it's the more sound money, right? And they say yes, and you say, okay, so if you believe in it so much, is all your money in crypto? And they'll probably say, no, they still have some fiat currency. And you say, okay, so why haven't you put all of your money into it if it's so much more sound and it's so much better? And they're going to have a hard time answering you with that. And then you say, okay, so theoretically, if you did have all of your money in crypto, but you don't want to spend it because you want to hoard it and it's going to be more valuable in the future, how are you going to pay your rent? How are you going to eat? Or are you just going to starve to death? And then they have to think, okay, so firstly, if I believed in this so much, I would have all my money in crypto. And then secondly, once I was in that position, I would have no option to spend it, because even though you might have a longer, what's it called, a lower time preference for having your money in a deflationary asset, you still have a time value to money. You know, the window is shifted, but it still exists. You still need to eat right now. You still need to pay your rent right now. Maybe you don't need to buy your fifth TV right now, but maybe you want to buy your first TV right now. You know, mobile phones are deflationary and people buy them all the time. So it's a kind of a bit of a myth that people will just hoard all of their money in crypto and never spend it. But the best way actually is coming full circle, like you said, is how do you drive people to start that cycle? The best thing you can do is get them to earn cryptocurrency, because then that flips the switch the other way around, right? They're not getting fiat, converting it into crypto, and then thinking, I need to hoard my crypto and spend my crappy fiat. If they are earning in crypto, then they see, okay, there's an economy here and this is going well for me. I need to find a way to spend this, because I need to actually turn this into something useful for me. So that's always what like, for instance, many of the people on this call are earning BCH as their income. The only option is to spend it, right? Otherwise we couldn't eat. So when people have those kind of objections, I always say to them, like, so if you believe so much in your Gresham's law, do you ask your employer to pay you in Bitcoin? Why would you want them to pay you in fiat currency if it's such terrible money? Don't you want to be paid in Bitcoin? And then they just think, oh yes. And then if they get that, if they work through that, they start getting paid in Bitcoin. Well, the problem is solved right there. Sooner or later, they're going to have to spend it. If all their income is in Bitcoin and their expenses are in fiat, they end up in the situation I said, where all their money is in crypto, and then it's going to get spent.
And I live that every day, right? Because I literally earn every bit of my income in Bitcoin Cash. So, and I spend most of it in Bitcoin Cash. Well, yeah, I don't spend. I try to save also, but the spending that I do, I try to do as much as I can in Bitcoin Cash. I wanted to say I completely agree on the first point that Jeremy made about Gresham's law and all that. But the second part about income and those issues, I have a different take, which is, I think, a direct answer to yours, Kenton. I think it was your question, right? And that's that. I often use this example of Linux as a fantastic use case and story, where if you go back in history to the beginnings of Linux and how people were using it, it was an incredibly nerdy thing. Absolutely nobody used it. And you may think today, like, what do you mean? It's still an incredibly nerdy thing. No, it's absolutely not. It's huge business. Linux is huge business. And where did that come from? It came from a place that none of the nerds, in their case, like technology, programming nerds, in our case, like money nerds who try to understand finance and money and how all this stuff works. It came from a place that none of them really expected. They were all trying to get Linux on the desktop, get users to use Linux, get the average user, the equivalent of retail, to use Linux on the desktop. And that never happened. But what did happen was this new market called servers appeared, right? That didn't exist at one point, right? And this new thing called servers appeared, and Linux fucking killed it in that market. They had competition, but in the end, they just fucking killed that market. And none of the nerds really predicted that, but that was the killer app. And what will be, I think, the direct answer to your question, the killer app for crypto? If anybody says they absolutely know the answer, I don't believe them, because it hasn't happened yet, right? So where it's going to come from, I don't think anybody can predict. And this is one of the things that I love about a decentralized ecosystem like Bitcoin Cash, is that there's a lot of people trying a lot of things. Like I said, there's people trying retail, online payments, in-person payments, physical NFC card payments, DeFi, finance, everything, loans, MUSD, of course, exchanges, everything you can think of. People are trying it. And somebody will find it eventually, like that killer app or the handful of killer apps that really take off. And just looking forward to that. but yeah, I don't think anybody has the exact answer yet. Is I think the answer to it, and the discovery process is still going on.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. It's going to be interesting what happens. We have a new speaker, you guys. New Rain. You have your hand up. Go ahead, test your mic.
Hi everyone. So hope you guys are doing good. Yeah. So hope I'm audible, right?
Yeah, you go ahead. You're good to go.
Yeah. So good. So I guess I'm going to just jump right in with Imogen's take on the last, because I think I share same idea with him. So basically, I feel like we don't need, but remittances will happen and adoption will happen, right, when people keep building. And of course, we don't need a lot of things will work. I feel like crypto doesn't need one, let's say, specific way. Let's say okay, let's say a country or a platform or big platform. I think people need to build several things, because of course we know, let's say now money works differently, right? The fiat has a lot of channels in which people do businesses. Same thing I look at when it comes to crypto, right? People just need to keep building amazing stuff. And what's happened, to be honest, is people are not much building utilities. To be honest, that's the truth, right? If you look at all those projects claiming out there to be in crypto, to be around crypto, people are just building projects, mini projects within their ecosystem, not actually linking it directly with real world utilities, right? But that's what, on the other side, I love about this side of whole Bitcoin Cash thing we keep fighting for. We are trying to see how we can link real world, real world application on a daily basis with Bitcoin Cash. Basically, that's it. I feel like that's how we're going to push more adoption and more uses of crypto, because we're going out there. Okay, now let's say today I woke up and I want to buy a domain with BCH. Basically, I know that Namecheap accept BCH. There's a payment gateway somewhere, somehow connected. I just need my BCH from my wallet to get a domain. Today I woke up, I need to buy mobile data, airtime. I need to maybe pay for some services. I know that Moca is doing something amazing. Immediately I use my crypto on Moca or something like that to make payment, right? So I feel like people need to step up and see how can you connect. Okay, now today I need to play games. I need that straightforward. BCH Digital Games has amazing. I can use my BCH and play games on that. I need to do long shorting, BCH Bull. I need to buy something on some website, Bit Degree. I feel like all these small applications, this is how the ecosystem grows. This is how you build those utilities. We don't need one killer app. I don't think so. We need a lot of applications that will connect real life utilities, right, with crypto. And that's what we're doing, right, on BCH side of things. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
So, but then if you look at the whole narrative, right? Let's say now, let me give you an example. Of course, there is need for that, right? Let's say in Nigeria now, the crypto is already taking off, right? If you look at, okay, the ecosystem, let me give you, there's a need for payment. Okay, people are working for other people outside the country. Let's say now we have a lot of technical talent in the country coming up, as a developing country. People get hired. But then when it comes to payment, do you know what's the best option? The best option is crypto. People go for crypto, people go for stable coins. That's the best option. Because currently now, for you to get a foreign bank account, let's say a USD account, that's another level of craziness. But then imagine in crypto, easy peasy, less than few minutes, you set up a USD account, you send it to your employee, you get paid in US stable coins or stuff like that. Amazing. So if you look at all these options, right? People are building utilities around that. People are building. Let's currently in Nigeria, I can't use a foreign card to buy something abroad on Amazon or something. It's not working. You understand? I have to find a way to see I use stable coins or I use a virtual USD card. So some of the solutions we're also building is something like that, where you can use crypto, top up some virtual cards and buy something. So you see, the market is huge. So I'm talking about this, even remittances across Africa. You can't do that. It's not easily, it's not feasible, right? You just have to use crypto. So these are some of the solutions that if you look inwards, you find out that okay, only crypto can solve these solutions. And then that's why we need people to just keep building. So to be honest, I've just a few weeks ago, I was out. Currently I'm even on travels, right? But if you see the level of people are building solutions on a daily basis, I think All you need to do is, okay, find a way. How can we plug in this? How can we support you guys more? Okay, what are you guys building? I'm building this for this. I'm building this for crypto. Okay, wait. So, okay, the users are there, the people are there, the demands are there. Then, okay, how can we support you guys more? How can you onboard BCH to your applications? How can we push more adoption? Do you understand? How can we push it to more people? I feel like people need to just start thinking, we can do this if we can come collectively, right? Okay, what problems do we need? Okay, now let's give people access to maybe play more games, buy something online, you understand, with crypto, buy gift cards, all those things. If there are easy processes to do this, I feel like people will leave the fiat system and jump on crypto because it's much more easier and then without permission. So
Yeah,
that's it.
well, the thing, to what you're saying is, I agree, and you're talking about Mocha, like, so why? Let's just be clear about this. Why would a normie go to crypto? Why would a normie use Mocha? Right? It's because it's cheaper. It's cheaper, right? Like, think of Visa, MasterCard, or whatever credit card company you use, right? 150, 200, 300, 600 basis points is sometimes it's really severe. It all depends on the volume you generate in your locality, things like that. That's margin that the business loses, right? And so any business that has a customer that is willing to pay in crypto, they can charge a premium price for the products or goods or services that they sell. This is a perfect on-ramp. It's clear economics to on-ramp lots of people. And I'm telling you, Narain, if in your locality, it sounds like a lot of people use crypto, you need to follow Mocha because you can start on-ramping people onto Mocha in businesses, and you will get a fee share of on-ramping everyone in there. You could make a lot of money, man. And I'm not trying to like overhype it or sell you something serious, but it's
No,
clear.
no, no, no. I feel like me and Boca already in talks, right?
Okay.
Where we're looking at, for me,
There you
yeah,
go.
for me, we're looking at anywhere we can push more adoption. You understand? More Bitcoin Cash adoption, more crypto adoption. We're very, very welcome. That's what we do. That's what we've been doing, right? So I feel like in this sense, we're just ready. Okay, let's see what the platform looks like online. Do you understand? And then we are all ready to support it because definitely with stuff like this that gives people more access, to understand, to use their crypto easily, and people need, just let's say for businesses, most of them, their complaint is, okay, we don't have like a structured POS system. Okay, we have Petaka, we have Mocha is doing the same, right? Mocha can give you access to do that. So that's it. So that's why we keep encouraging builders. I feel like we don't need one killer app, but then keep building. Just find a solution that you are trying to solve and build it. People are there. Of course, people are waking up to the reality. Okay, of course, we need crypto. You understand? And you don't see that probably from the Western, from the other side of the country, but then from the developing side of countries, right? This is a necessity because people need this to survive. Do you understand? A lot of now freelancers, people have skills. They work freelancers. They work with companies. They can't own banks. Do you understand? A lot of unbanked people, they depend on crypto 247. So you see, these apps are necessity for them. So now if you look at the numbers, and the numbers don't lie, to be honest, for most of these apps, all of them are profitable, right? All you need to do is build and come to that ecosystem. Definitely you'll be if it's a business, you'll be in profit because this is what people need. Already, if you go through the other route, trying to get things from the government or get to normal fiat is crazy, man. The inflation there is crazy and it doesn't work, to be honest. That's it. So that's it.
Yeah. I always love it. Thank you. This is a really appreciate your contribution to this conversation, Narain. I always love when people come and because, every country I think is suffering to some degree, but I love it when people come and they have real world experience of just like with a really terrible currency and a really oppressive government, and then they can see the light. So thank you so much for that. I want to kick it back here to the other speakers. Is there anything here that we think we've missed or anything you want to update us on? I'll kick it to Bitcoin Cash podcast. Is there anything else you want to touch on? Any message out from THORChain? I know we didn't really talk much about Rajira and all the possibilities, perps, money markets, lending, all that stuff. Oh, actually, Dr. Flex, I just saw your hand. I'm going to kick it to you. You haven't spoken in a long time. Go for it.
Yeah, I've just been listening, and the amazing speaker said a lot. Though I actually wanted to throw a question to the THORChain side, but before then, the question of utility and then adoption. The one thing we lack is that proper education to, people from this side. I'm saying from this side of the country, from this side of the world, sorry. Um, People are not much more aware of what is happening. People are suffering. I think back in 2020, 2021, 2020, I think that was during Corona. That was my first experience with crypto. So I'm going to say I came in late, but then what did I need at that point? What happened was everybody was isolated. Everybody was just kept in a box, just locked up. And I think I needed a laptop. I needed to get a laptop, and then I cannot go out. That was what made me discover crypto actually. But then I'm not going to say unfortunately, but fortunately for me, I found Bitcoin then first, and then realized, okay, I can trade with this thing. I can actually buy something with this. And I did that. But then with time, with the shitty currency we have here, buying and selling with that kind of coin was a hassle for me because I cannot pay for fee. I cannot pay for. There were a lot of obstacles then, like getting the coin itself, buying it, finding a person that accepts that. It was a very very big obstacle for me back then. Then I started dipping into history, and I realized Bitcoin Cash on the way, which gave me more cheaper, options to go into. And then, yeah, there were a little bit of community around those people in Nigeria then that are aware of Bitcoin Cash. So we kind of formed a group, to try and spread that awareness outside. One thing I'm going to tell you is people are not properly educated, and then people are not onboarded the right way into crypto. In this side of the world, people just see that people don't really see crypto as that means of exchange. No, people see it as where to make profit, where to just throw in money and then get it quick and then back to the fiat system again, which is actually wrong. So what we try to do is, educating people, but it's not happening because the the number of people that are actually preaching the word out. I don't mean if the word out in this case is the real utility case of crypto, are not there. Much of the influence is there for people that just want to play around, people that just want, influence. I know, yeah, let's say freelancers now in Nigeria, they get so distracted with shitty projects that will just come with no real utility, and then this project pump money into the young minds that are willing to do that change, distracting the whole system. So what is happening is there is no proper education from, I think, for people that want real utility, for people that really want to see the adoption happening. It's a collective effort to see that, yeah, real projects that will promote, the adoption of crypto. I'm not saying Bitcoin Cash in this sense. I want crypto. Let's talk in crypto. That will promote that real adoption of crypto. They are not there. People only they tends to give fun. I can. There's this chain that of recent was popular in the Nigerian community. All they do is there is just, fun games, not even a real gamified experience. They just want to get massive users, traction on their chain, and without really telling people what is happening, what the
What
core
chain is
message
this?
is. I think I can, is it the ton ecosystem, something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Those
Okay.
like that is shit what they are doing there. They are not really, but they put a ton of money into promoting such kind of project, not real world project that will create impact. You know, and that's a big obstacle for adoptions here in this part of the world. So I think more education, more of, you know, people coming in to preach what is really happening, and then opening minds to broader topics that is happening around the world would easily do that. So my question now, as someone, you know, coordinating the THORChain BCH communication, I think my question to the THORChain team is, what do you think is really needed right now for, you know, integrating the cash token into the THORChain? Because our community is really hyped about this, and then I personally took it upon me to you know, keep them updated and then stay in touch with both teams to see how we can facilitate that. So talking on the collaboration side, we want to really know what it would take from the BCH side to get BCH and the first cash token into the THORChain.
Well, make sure I understand correctly. BCH is obviously currently supported. I think you're talking about MUSD. I don't think there's a I don't think there's a developer up here, but I will give you anyone the resources, because I think the it's clear we want to have the stablecoin available for you guys, absolutely, to be used as a settlement layer 100%. And to answer your other question, it's like, how do you educate? Well, it's utility. The word is utility. I 100% am convinced if we have clear utility like Moca, where you can buy goods and services for cheaper than the current system that we use, this fixes itself because there's a clear economic incentive. It just draws you in, right? If you save in money, it is the clearest and easiest selling point. And then, of course, when you have ability for people who promote Moca to make money, that's how you do it. This is the point where utility is happening in the technologies that we spent so long building. So, yeah, Dr. Flex, I definitely want to get MUSD added. Havlor, I think you were going to speak, or I don't know if Kenton. Go ahead.
Yeah. So on the plans to implement MUSD in, or make THORChain MUSD compatible, we have put down a team of 40 people. We at Rift Labs, who issues and have created the Moca protocol. We have committed to doing this and pushing forward with this. And the only thing is, we have been trained in, it's just so much work. So these days have been so intense, so much stuff happening. So we just haven't gotten to putting a developer on it full time yet. But this will happen, and we have committed to this in direct comms with the Rune people. So this is definitely
music to my
happening.
ears. And guys, when it comes to education, spreading the word, what is ADR 21? You know, like, this is where all of us work together. We built it, and now we have the technology where it has utility. It's the time. This is the time to go. This is where we go. This is where we go balls out, and we show the world what we built. The BCH boys, you know, they guys have been building. They have a wonderful blockchain, right? It's quick, it's fast. They want to be a settlement layer. They're eager. We're eager. This is where these important relationships are being made. These are the connections that change the world. So we are doing this thing. And I want everyone in Nigeria or whoever to be able to transact with blockchain. That's the way it's going to be. And that is exactly what we're going to do. Don't confuse it, guys. We are on this path, and we're going to get it done. Kenton, were you trying to say something? I'll kick it to you.
Yeah, I was kind of maybe trying to answer his question about education, you know, explain stuff to people. So it's tough because there's no such thing as teaching, only learning, right? You can't teach somebody something that they don't want to learn. And so, you know, that's the trait of an excellent teacher. I don't know if you guys have heard like John Taylor Gatto. He's written some books. He's ranked one of the best teachers in American history, and you know, his success was just trying to find ways to get people interested, you know, get kids interested in learning, you know, open their minds, and then it's just like a sponge, and they'll take anything in. So, you know, if we really want to get people to learn, we have to find a way to make them interested, right? And I'm not saying it's easy, but it's tough. Like, you know, we're talking about Bitcoin Max. You know, they've had about 10 years of propaganda, and like, you know, it's really hard to, you know, break through that. And I think, I forget who said it earlier, but they hit the nail on the head. Like Bitcoin maxis celebrate arrogance and ignorance. And it's, you know, if somebody's like proud of their arrogance and ignorance, it's extremely difficult to break through that. Now, if you go to people outside of crypto, they're fiat maximalists. They've had 100 years of propaganda making them so. And, you know, it's a lot to break down. But I don't think it's necessarily going to take like 100 years of effort to do it. I think the fiat system breaking down on its own is going to push people into crypto. It's going to open people's minds like, hey, what's going on? You know, I need to protect myself. I need to get out of this. And like that, to me, that is one good thing with the Bitcoin price and crypto, like doing well, is that's great marketing for the sector, because we're going to get the fiat maximalists coming in trying to make money, and their ability to make fiat is a Trojan horse for freedom. And, you know, because if they really want to start digging into it and understanding it, they're going to start, you know, learning about the technology. But it is a battle. It is hard. Like talk to gold bugs. You know, gold bugs been around for 50 years. You know, they've been fighting with their families and neighbors and, you know, everyone in the media about fiat money for 5 decades now. And, you know, they've been regaled as, you know, crazy nut jobs, you know, gold is a religion, it's not easy. You know, it's a battle. So, you know, we just have to keep fighting the good fight. And, but I think we're winning. I think, you know, we are turning the corner, and especially in our lifetimes, I think we're going to see some change. But maybe not the answer you wanted to hear, but you know, hopefully that helps.
Yeah.
Or maybe somebody disagrees. What do you guys think?
No, I agree.
Well, I mean, my take on education, which I'm always talking about in the BCH community, is you have to think counterintuitively, right? If you go and tell somebody 30 times about Bitcoin Cash, they're not going to give a shit. They're not interested. They've got 100 other problems. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to talk to you. You are wasting your breath. Don't do that. The number one thing you can do to get people interested in BCH, and the same philosophy can apply to THORChain, or it can apply to cryptocurrency or anything in life, is to go and firstly talk to the people who already care about it. Because if you are talking to somebody else who cares about it, well, you're going to go get along great. You're going to start a collaboration, and there's going to be interest, excitement. There's going to be economic activity, and people hate missing out. They absolutely hate it. The worst thing in the world is somebody says to you, oh, do you know about Bitcoin Cash? And you say, no, I don't care about that. And then the person turns around and talks to somebody else, and then suddenly those two people are having a great time. And you're standing there like, what am I even doing? So that's kind of the strategy, is you need to focus your community inward, and then it grows at the edges because people are drawn to that energy and excitement. So that's kind of the way you want to do it. And that's the way, you know, that I think THORChain, BCH, everything, like, for instance, what are we doing here having this space? You know, I'm more interested in talking to you guys about BCH because you're interested than talking to some no coiners who doesn't give a shit about it. And that's also where gold bugs completely go wrong, of course, as well. They haven't made anything cool. That's the second part of it. Once you are talking to somebody and they are interested, you need to actually make something. I call it proof of passion, but it's basically just proof of work in the real world, right? Why do sports teams do so well? Because they're people who make podcasts following that sport teams. They wear the colors of that sport team everywhere they go. They tune in and they watch all the games. They get really hyped. They make fantasy football, whatever. That's how a sport sustains itself. And crypto is no different. If, you know, nobody was really that interested in what I had to say about BCH until now, I've got 150 podcast episodes about it. And somebody doesn't need to listen to 150 podcast episodes. They just need to hear that I've made 150 episodes about it to think, wow, this guy is serious and must have something to say. So talk to people who want to talk back, and then build something with them. And then all the people on the fringes will observe that and want to get involved. That's how you break through that educational barrier. Even though it can be slow and hard work, that's the way to do it indirectly.
I totally agree with you. Like that's like fiat money is a brand. It's, you know, and it's got a great brand. You know, people love it, and people that is that rain here clapping? You know, people love the fiat brand because it serves a lot of them well. They climb the corporate ladder, they get, into positions of power. Bending the knee to fiat is very rewarding. You get laid. There's lots to get out of it, right? Now we all know people are selling their soul, and there's definitely better ways to live. But I think that's kind of what crypto has to become too. It's got to be cool. It's got to be sexy. It's got to, we got to demonstrate how it is improving the world by improving our own lives. If we're leading successful, amazing lives individually, people are going to want to see that. Like, how are you doing that? Like, what are you doing? I want to do that too. And through Bitcoin Cash, and I've been doing this and that. Like, okay, cool. Tell me more, right? And it's not because they care about crypto or freedom or anything like that. It's like they want your lifestyle. They want what you have, and that's how you kind of get them in and get them interested. So yeah, totally agree with you, Bitcoin Cash. That's it's on the fringes. We just slowly keep getting people in. It's like the you guys seen that video of the guy dancing at the music festival? He's out dancing all weird and crazy by himself, and then somebody else comes and joins them, and they're having their fun, doing their own thing. And next thing you know, there's like 1,000 people there. All it's like this, it's just this awesome scene, and everyone's just having a great time. We have to be those weird, crazy people dancing by ourselves for a while, but if we stick with it, we're going to attract more, and it'll keep coming.
Yep, I agree with that. We have a new speaker who's also, I guess he doubles as a soundboard. Let me see. Does that say Engineer Bendar, if I'm understanding that correctly? You want to test your mic? What do you got for us?
Yes, thank you. I just want to, first, is the mic good?
Yes, you sound great. Go ahead.
Okay. I want to add something that Jeremy said. It wasn't my intention to talk, but said something great about Bitcoin Cash. I mean, I was the most Bitcoin maxi in the world. You can see. I was saying that Bitcoin Cash is the shittiest coin I would ever see. Now I'm a Bitcoin Cash maxi. Why? Because Jeremy has taught me what Bitcoin Cash mean, even indirectly. Like the reason I now use Bitcoin Cash is the Lightning Network. Believe it or not. Actually, I lost more than half Bitcoin setting up my own sovereign, and I say sovereign, Lightning Network. I was using the Lightning Network, and then Umbrel got an update and corrupted data to my desk that made me lose all my Bitcoin. And I said, come on, that must be the shittiest experience I have ever seen. I mean, if no decentralized coin can do an instant settlement, then we are lost. And then I don't know what triggered me to search about Bitcoin Cash, but I just did, and I saw that video called "Who Killed Bitcoin," and I was seeing the other narrative because I was at the Bitcoin block size war, and I was fully into Bitcoin node propaganda. Everyone should run their own node to protect the network and blah blah blah. And I found out that's not true with Bitcoin Cash. I can instantly transact. I can get my Bitcoin Cash to buy anything that I want. And I found out that most Bitcoin maxi around here just use Bitcoin as an investment vehicle. No one cares about Bitcoin where I live. I mean, where I live, we only care about two things, mostly USDT for B2B transaction and an investment vehicle. And that's where Bitcoin do it for us. But if we want to really use Bitcoin, I couldn't find any way to use Bitcoin in a decentralized, trusted way except the Lightning Network. And the Lightning Network has failed me. So that's why I railed into Bitcoin Cash. I can see how it's private for my use case, and with Cash Fusion and also something called reusable payment address. So this is perfect for my use case. I mean, come on. When I buy something with Bitcoin, sometime I use Binance in order to have an instant payment where I buy something for $2 or $3 with $8 fee sometime. I mean, that's ridiculous. So Bitcoin Cash give me a really good experience and use case with less than a penny. So I'm thankful for that. And yes,
I'm
go
so
ahead.
sorry to interrupt you. I'm actually thankful you said that, because I forgot, Kenton. You know, Bitcoin Cash, they are developing. Oh, your mic's open, Benjar. Just so you has it. No one, just pause yourself, please. Thank you. You guys do have privacy you are developing from our previous conversation. I'm definitely not an expert, so I don't know if I should kick it to Emergent or the Bitcoin Cash podcast. But do you guys want to talk a little bit about that?
Can I just say something quickly?
Yeah.
I just want for your speaker. Are you saying Wallet of Satoshi, where you have to give your email address and you're geo-locked, isn't a good solution? It's a joke, by the way.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
The people in this room know that it's a joke. The people outside, I worry.
Oh boy. Well, you know, guys, like I say, you know, this isn't meant to be a BTC hate space or anything like that. Of course not. I don't care, but I don't know. You know, I'm a real person. I have my own opinions. I don't represent THORChain and when it comes to opinions, I see obvious cracks and I don't understand. You know what I mean? But anyway, to get back to it, I don't know, Emergent, do you want to talk about the privacy element of BCH since Banjar brought it up?
Sure. Bitcoin Cash has had multiple privacy solutions over the years. The current most popular one is called Cash Fusion. And I just brought up the site redteam.cash. This is where a researcher who primarily works in Monero, but he came over for a while, and through the crowdfunding thing that I helped to create, Flipstarter, he got funded to do some research on Cash Fusion and how it works. And I just looked up there, and it's 304,000 Cash Fusion transactions involving 28 million BCH, so more than the total supply of Bitcoin has gone through Cash Fusion transactions, right? I don't know how much that is. Some incredible amount of money. So yeah, it actually provides a fantastic and easy privacy solution. You get the Electron Cash wallet, which is kind of a workhorse. It's an old derivative from the Electrum wallet, which you may have used in BTC, but this was years and years ago that it separated and has been improving since then. And you just turn that on and you have your money in the wallet and you just turn on Cash Fusion, and in the background it just continuously is doing Cash Fusion transactions. And these are, you may be familiar with coin mixers or some of the common coin mixers, but it's like that but better, and that would take a whole discussion to explain why it's better. But yeah, you just sit there and it's trustless transactions running in the background, and you get coins on the other side that are very, very hard statistically to connect to anything that happened on the other side. So yeah, that's something that, like I said, 28 million BCH has been through. It's going on every day. Anybody can jump into it and use it very easily. That's the most common one. Somebody, I think it was Bendar, mentioned RPA, which is reusable payment addresses, which is very similar, not the same thing, but similar to what Monero does. And you can use those to publish an address, an RPA address, and it's just one address. And when someone sends money to you, the address that they send to is not that address itself. It's an address that's created by combining your key and the public key that someone else has published. And when they send to this new address, that address never existed. But I, who am receiving it, am able to do a little bit of statistical grinding, and I can watch on chain and be like, oh, that's mine. I can actually, that's my money. I can produce the private key for that by observing what they sent or where they sent it from and observing my own private key. And I can create the private key for this address that they sent to. Anyway, so you can publish an address, and then every time somebody sends you a payment, it goes to a completely new address that nobody has any idea is connected to that public address that you have posted. Yeah, so there's multiple privacy things going on. And then with the upcoming upgrades we have for Bitcoin Cash in 2026 that are very likely to happen in 2026, we now have the ability to implement quantum protection for anybody who thinks that's a realistic possibility, and then also to start implementing the ZK proofs to where you could eventually implement something like a tornado pool or something like that. So yeah, it's all there.
So it's because I'm ignorant, I don't know. So is it more like Monero where it's like obfuscation, or is it like something like zero knowledge proof like Zcash? Like how specifically does it work? It's obfuscation, I take it.
All of them. So the RPA that I mentioned is more like Monero, where if you're able to,
you have different ways. I understand. Okay.
Yeah, you have multiple. That's the nice thing about having a bare metal chain that doesn't have a really strong opinion on exactly how things should be done. It's just a very strong virtual machine, and it can do whatever it is you want it to do. So one of those is Monero type transactions, and then another one you can do is ZK, which hasn't been implemented yet. That this isn't going to be enabled by the upgrades that are coming in 2026. And then there's the Cash Fusion, which is a statistical hiding, right? So I mean, all of these are statistical, but it's more of like a coin mixer where I provide 10 inputs into a 50 input transaction, and I receive 4 outputs from among 40 outputs in the transaction. And the way that it's done statistically is called the knapsack problem. And it means that even if you think you know what's going on the inputs or who owns what inputs, even if you think you know who owns what inputs, it's very hard to calculate with any certainty who owns the outputs. So yeah, it's a statistical trick.
There you go. Bitcoin Cash, pro privacy. Oh, go ahead, Kenton.
So you said bare metal chain, I think you said. What does that mean? What did you mean by that?
What I mean is, for example, Bitcoin Cash just works the way Bitcoin was originally created, which is you put money into a lock script, and that lock script is a program. And the simplest program is just what people are used to, where it's like, oh, I have the key and I can unlock it if I want to. But really, it's just a program. Even the most simple Bitcoin transaction is a very simple program that says, if you can provide the signature that unlocks this coin, then it's your coin and you can spend it. But it's a program. And you can make those as arbitrarily complex as you want. And so that can go from that, which is just, my money and I can spend it, to implementing something like bulletproofs that Monero does, because that's really just a pile of code about what it does. And then you can do Cash Fusion like it does, or you can implement ZK pool like Tornado Cash, because that's really just a program where people all throw their money into a smart contract. And so what I mean by a bare metal is it's a virtual machine that can do whatever the hell you want it to within the boundaries of what a Bitcoin Cash transaction allows. I'm not sure if that answered the question.
Yeah, it does. Actually, it's kind of a similar way to explain THORChain smart contract layer, app layer. Would you agree, Patriot?
Yeah, as far as I understand, I'm not a developer, so I'm always insecure when it comes to specifics. But yes, I think you're right. And great question, by the way, Kenton.
So I have a dumb question. So because Monero is basically a fork of Bitcoin, right? So it's just Monero. The Monero devs just took Bitcoin and just added a bunch of stuff on top of it, right?
Yeah, Monero took an opinionated approach to what privacy means and decided that this is what a reasonable and good approach to privacy is, and took that approach and then applied it to the consensus layer, right? Where every transaction will follow these rules. Whereas the idea of the bare metal chain is saying, well, you can do that if you want to, but you can also do something else if you want to. And it's not necessarily an obvious one is better than the other, right? Because if you're opinionated and you make the right choice, then maybe you have great effect from that. But if you're opinionated and you didn't make the right choice, or something in cryptography changes, or somebody else has a better thing, now you're in kind of a rough position. Whereas the drawbacks of doing bare metal is, well, maybe it'll be slightly less efficient than doing it, built into consensus. So maybe there's some trade-offs there. But yeah, BCH is very bare metal and provides you the tools that you need to build what you want to build.
So let me just expand on that a little bit to kind of clarify or maybe extend what Emergent is saying. So we were talking about having the MUSD integration in THORChain, right? So we have this MUSD stable coin that people lock up their BCH and they mint the MUSD, and then it has a stable value which they can cash in. And so you have a decentralized stable coin, right? So that's a cash token, which is just the BCH protocol for tokens. but those cash tokens can be anything. So again, after the next upgrade, and this is just theoretically possible, nobody has built this yet, right? But BCH will be able to have a cash token that replicates the Monero cryptography. So you'll be able to buy a token on a BCH DEX that is equivalent, in terms of cryptography and privacy to Monero. But not only that, you could also make a cash token that had the Zcash cryptography, right, in it. And then you could even, swap from one to the other, or you could chain them together. You could have a token that combined the two and let you send through both of the privacy schemes and then on out the other side, right? So the approach that BCH is taking is that we will be able to offer the cryptography from every single chain as a token on our own chain, if that makes sense.
It does. I mean, that sounds huge. Have you heard of is it Haven Protocol? What were they called? Paige, do you remember what they were? Do you guys want to talk about?
XMR was it called? It was the Monero fork, right? Of privacy, is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah, I think it was a fork of Monero, and they were basically trying to do what you guys just talked about. They have a token that you could mint into a stable coin, and that stable coin would have like privacy. I don't really know what happened with it.
I can tell you what happened. Happened. They died, and we dodged a bullet with that one. We were actually thinking about adding them at one point, but they had a mint bug. And when you look at I'm not sure how it works with looking up a blockchain explorer on a privacy token, but when they looked it up, they had realized that the supply of XMR had greatly surpassed the maximum that was thought to exist. And so it was so inflated to the point where it was just hopelessly gone. So it died. Unfortunately.
Yeah, so this is actually one of the advantages, right? So like if you talk to a Monero person, they will say to you, oh, what do you mean you have a chain with transparent transactions? Like everything has to be layer one, private transactions. Otherwise there's no point. And this is just a terrible thing. And that's great if they, want to pursue that option, but like every option, there's no solutions, only trade-offs, right? So the BCH trade-off in having a transparent chain, but with very powerful scripting, is that we'll be able to have a token that is equivalent to the Monero privacy, but it's like opt-in. If you want to be part of that, you can opt into it. Now you're not going to have problems with those inflation bugs, or if you are, it's only going to be the people who choose to opt into that system, because the base 21 million BCH will always just be very clear. So if people are, swapping their 21 million BCH into this Monero cash token that somebody has made, it will still be very clear where all the 21 million BCH are. So even if there's a bug found in the cryptography of the person issuing the supply of that token, or in the coding of it, or something like that, then the only people who are going to get rugged are the people who've chosen to opt into that. And in fact, somebody could just fix that bug and create a new token, and then everybody could just migrate across from one to the other, right? So that's kind of the trade-off of having it not be baked into your layer one protocol, is you've avoided any of those risks.
Yeah, we have a couple hands up. CypherCat, I'm going to get you in just a second. But yeah, imagine for everyone, THORChain, we built this. It's a very complicated protocol. And, we've made a few mistakes here and there. But you got to give a shout out to the devs right now, because they were not satisfied with the implementation and the of XMR and Haven, and they refused to add it to the protocol. That was a beautiful thing they did, because imagine we had an asset that just basically the supply went to damn near infinity. That means everything would have gone to zero, because if the asset's zero, all the ruin would have been arbitraged out of the pool. So shout out to the devs for dodging that bullet. CypherCat has come up. You want to check your mic? What do you got for us?
Hey guys, I'm sorry. Sorry to jump in. I'm gonna have to go. It's been 2 hours now, and It's
Yes.
it's 2 a.m. for me, so I'm gonna have to jump off. But it's been very good to talk with you all.
Thank you so much. Oh, and Jeremy, if you got to bounce too, we can wrap the space in a little bit.
Not immediately, but yeah, soon.
Okay, I appreciate you guys and Emergent. Thank you so much for being a trooper and staying up late. I really appreciate it. I think we squeezed a lot of the juice out of the space, but we do have some speakers up here. We'll get to them and we'll take it from there. So Cypher Cat, if you want to go ahead and check your mic, go ahead.
Thanks,
please.
guys. Take care.
Take care, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just appreciating the discussion. Excuse the PFP. I'm trying to rep Mariah protocol over on the Solana chain, so joined the Koala gang, and they immediately drew this, and I was like, "Screw it, I'm honored." So, anyways, one of the things I wanted to talk about is just unit bias, right? Like I think that's gonna be a huge thing in the future, whether or not we realize it. Like one of the main thing that was actually forgotten, left behind by the BTC guys, was actually sats. It's crazy because they're at like, I think it's like 16,000 sats to like until they reach their dollar, parity or something, and it's completely irrelevant. It's totally useless. If you were to try and get to that point, you would be in full-on centralization. No one would touch it. You'd be in 100% KYC territory. It's just it's a total it's a non-starter, right? It doesn't solve a problem. But what's really cool about BCH is that we actually have sats, and like if you're in sats right now, if you're in Bitcoin Cash right now, you can kind of think like, wow, like even if you got one BCH, you can think of yourself as, wow, that's 100 million sats. Like think of yourself as like I think the new generation, they're calling it pre-rich, right? So you got to think like that. I just hope that kind of mentality can work itself into Bitcoin Cash, and then that'll help the spending narrative, right? Because that's the big problem right now that we have, is a lot of people, like, oh, I just want one BCH. I just want to, stack up. It's like a problem of bias, right? It's like, sure, online we want to kind of minimize it so we can make more BCH, but if we talk more broadly in sats, I think that'll actually translate to a lot more spending culture. If everyone feels rich, then that's a great thing. And it's like, yeah, like we need to start thinking as like, these are future dollars. It's just kind of what I wanted to throw in there. But yeah, great discussion. I'm happy with what you guys are building. I think that Moca could be one of those big apps if we get it into a bunch of coffee shops and stuff, and people are going to be using it. As long as it's agorist, right? People start learning how to like, just be a little bit more educated of how to go about, because the thing is, there's actually nothing unlawful of just buying BCH, exiting the system. Like in Canada, especially, if you just buy BCH and you never look back and you say, these are my new dollars, right? Sats are my new dollars. You never look back. They're not coming for you. They don't care anymore. They only care if you're day trading 24/7, trying to go back into fiat. That's what they're going to come after you for when it comes to all that kind of stuff. But if you're just deciding that like sats are my new dollar and I'm just going to build this, I'm just going to hold this, and I'm just going to spend this like dollars, then yeah, we get there a lot faster. Anyways, I'm just going to go down so the next speaker can talk.
Hey, I appreciate you coming up. And yeah, we were a little nervous with your PFP, but thank you so much for restoring my faith a little bit in humanity, because I was on the mute button, buddy. I was ready, but you are welcome up on the stage. All right, we got another hand. Banjar, go ahead. What do you got for us?
Thank you very much for letting me have this opportunity. I would like to add to what Jeremy said about Bitcoin Cash. If we can summarize this, that Bitcoin Cash privacy is based on convenient and fastness. We want very convenient, passive privacy, and also it must be fast. Okay, so the Bitcoin Cash, how they do it is modular. Today, I would exaggerate this and saying today we have Monero level privacy. How is that? We can have Cash Fusion giving million of mixing 24/7 and 7 days, okay, due to the very cheap transaction fee that we have. So it would look like a full chain membership proof plus plus, if I exaggerate it here. And if we want to say that Monero use stealth address, well, we can combine this with RBA First, I give you my RBA address. You send me some Bitcoin Cash, and then I use that to mix it in Cash Fusion passively. And then in 2026, if we have Zeki pool, we could theoretically send it into a Tornado Cash contract to obfuscate the obfuscate, actually hide the amount itself, and then exiting on the other end. So with RBA in the first place, the receiver of the address never appear in the blockchain itself. It's basically similar to Cake Wallet silent payment, but with reusable static address. So this is the simplicity you get with Bitcoin Cash. You could have a Monero level privacy today by this modular approach. And if something came better along the way, you could just upgrade to that in a modular way, just like Linux does it.
There you go. My buddy Kenton dropped. I'm trying to request and get him back up here. You know, typically when we get to past the 2 to 3 hour mark, things can get a little glitchy. But I'm gonna try and get him up here. But Jeremy, I want to kick it to you because I know you're gonna be going to sleep soon. Is there anything else you want to say? Maybe you want to promote your podcast. I hope everyone listening to this, whether it's live or the recording, follow Jeremy, follow all the people you heard today. They're absolutely excellent. But I'll go ahead and hand the floor over to you, buddy.
Yeah, well, thanks for having us again, guys. It's been fantastic to talk. I'm so excited about that integration, the cash tokens integration, because I think it's a great way for us as a community to share, you know, like then we're bringing users to you and you're bringing users to us, and that's already amazing. But it also sets the stage then for if there is these future, you know, the research and dev that goes on to make these privacy cash tokens as well. If we've got MUSD integrated, then it'll be presumably fairly simple, should be, to add other coins, other cash tokens afterwards. So then the power of BCH through THORChain then brings that pool of privacy to so many more people. Like you've said, that you're not able to list Monero, but you would be able to list this, right? So there would be just a killer collaboration. I'm really excited for that. But yeah, everybody can obviously listen to the podcast. Go to bitcoincashpodcast.com. All the links and episodes and everything is there. At the moment, I'm really trying to help people get interested in Blaze, which we didn't get a chance to talk about, but it's the hackathon that we're doing in November the 15th. Registrations are open for that. You can look up the BCH Blaze account on Twitter or go to bchblaze.cash. I'm really hoping the THORChain guys will get involved and maybe register a team so that you can be part of it too, because that would be awesome. We've got BCH prizes, obviously, and it's going to be a great way to connect with other people in the space and celebrate and test out the new upgrades that will be coming in 2026. So potentially people will already be making test versions of these kind of privacy tools that we're talking about, which would be absolutely massive, so that we already have everything in the pipeline, and then when it activates in May, we can just switch it on and it's already rolling. Like, that's the ideal case. We'll see how it goes. But if you're interested in that, check out bchblaze.cash and bitcoincashpodcast.com. Thank you for having me. It's been fantastic. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for your time. I know it's late for you guys. I really appreciate, you know, you guys staying up late. Please extend them. I know they're probably sleeping now. You guys are on the other side of the world, and we try to keep the time the same. And so I appreciate you guys not even offering an amendment. You just, you know, sucked it up and you joined the usual time. And yeah, you guys are absolutely great. I love how you guys share the ethos. And I would love, you know, if you ever have an event or anything, or a special podcast, if you want, you know, Kenton or Patriot or anyone else up there, we'll gladly do it. And I'll do it on your time zone as well, and extend the favor. So yeah, thank you again, man. I really appreciate it.
Brilliant. Thanks. All right. See you later.
All right. Cheers, buddy. Kenton, you want to try your mic? Got a little rug there. I'll make sure you're good to go.
I'm good. Yeah. No, and this sounds great. Sounds like a good time to wrap it up.
Awesome, guys. I appreciate all the speakers today. Let's go ahead and wrap it up here. All right, guys. So The 13th. So let's see. Let me get my thing up here. Okay. So next weekend we're going to be having a space with the NFT new community. It's like NJAR. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm not going to embarrass myself, but it's a collab. It's going to be really cool. So check that out for next week. The following week is going to be the Moca space, where Moca is going live, or they're on the cusp of going live. So super excited for that. And then the next week, the 27th of September, we're going to have an Hans only experience, Ruggiera. It's just going to be largely him. He's going to say whatever he's going to say. That is going to be a banger, guys. What those guys are building on the app layer is truly revolutionary. They're having a little bit of quirks right now with the web, basically to make decentralized Binance. That's really hard to do, to make everything on chain. But they are going the technical hurdles one at a time. We are getting there, guys. It's going to come. So super excited. So make sure to check out those dates and those episodes. Kenton, do you have anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
That's great, man. Thanks, everybody.
All right, guys. Thank you so much again to all the speakers. You were all great. God bless everybody, and we'll see you on the next week. Thank you now. Bye-bye.